Hello. Okay, recording. Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me here?
I can hear you.
All right, I can hear you, Bailey.
Awesome.
Jody, how's your audio? Jody, can you hear me?
Hey, Blake, this is Jesse Marshall.
Hey, Jesse, thanks for joining in.
Yeah. Hey, so I don't have myself on video. I am currently trying to paint a crib. So we just finished staging a majority of the house. We just got one room left to do, and we're doing a nursery on our current rehab. So the crib needs to be white, and it's not white yet. So I'm out in the here. Let me see if I can switch this real quick.
Awesome.
Start video. All right, so here's me. Here's the crib. I'm about to spray paint.
All right, getting it together. I like
it. Yeah, it's gonna dry overnight, and I'm gonna take it to the rehab tomorrow and plop it in the room. So, but I don't want to disturb anybody that's take away from the meeting. So I'm gonna switch back over to my pretty professional photo.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for joining in. Can everybody else hear me? All right, sounds good. Got thumbs up. Jody, did you get your audio working?
Yeah, I did.
All right, there we go. All right, well, it looks like we're good to go. We got everybody admitted into the meeting here, and if anybody else joins in, we'll just keep going and let them catch up. Well, thank you everybody for joining in tonight. Wanted to put this meeting together to just have a way for local investors here in Panama City and the Panhandle, really, to kind of get a beat on the local market, get a feeling for what's going on due to coronavirus, see how people are handling it, and just see how we can help other people. Really wanted to start this meetup really just to provide value to others. I've been a part of the meetups over on the beach side here in Panama City Beach, and they've been great, awesome to meet people, and wanted to do something like that over here on the town side. So the plan's going to be to have something here in Panama City that meets, and that'll go kind of congruently with the one on the beach side, so you can go to both or go to whichever one suits you, and just get another opportunity to connect with local investors, find partners, get deals done, share knowledge, and just connect and provide value to as many people as we can. Little bit about me for those of you that don't know. I'm active duty Air Force, stationed here at Tyndall. I'm a contracting officer, so my job is basically to help rebuild the base and handle all the funding and the budget, and go spend that money for the government to get everything rebuilt, which has been super challenging because I don't know a whole lot about contracting yet, because I haven't been in the career field that long, but it's been exciting and has been a great opportunity. And when I got here, started investing in real estate. That was last summer. Since then, have done several burrs, several wholesales, a flip, and house hacking as well. So done a little bit of everything on the residential side. Have used partners, and Annabelle's one of those. So I'm glad she came here, and she's with the Shorefront Restorations team. They're awesome. And have just started using private money as well. And now with that, have kind of started to branch into multifamily. So looking at bigger assets, probably 12 to 24 units here in Panama City and Huntsville as well. So that's kind of been my progression, has gone from residential to rehabbing, adding value, and renting, and trying to take that into multifamily as well. So I'm always looking to meet new people and talk to new people, learn and teach what I know. the little bit I know and just share that and continue to learn. And this is an outlet to do that. So I wanted to bring people in, and today we got Jody Bentley. He's a local investor. He actually lives in Pensacola. He's got rental units all over from Pensacola to Panama City. So he's active all through the Panhandle. He's really had his hands in everything, and has had a ton of success. He's got apartment buildings here in Panama City. He's got short-term rentals. He's got flips. He's got long-term rentals. He's really done everything and has had a lot of success. And now today we're going to get to hear from him how the COVID-19 has impacted his business, where it all started, where it is today, and kind of what he's looking to get into going forward because of that. So he's got a wealth of experience, ton of knowledge that he's going to share with us today. So without further ado, Jody, thank you for being here and impart some knowledge on us. We're looking forward to it.
Well, hopefully I can give you what you're looking for, Blake. I appreciate the introduction. I'll give you just a little bit of background history of what I've done. I mean, back in 2000, I was a general contractor up in Nashville, Tennessee. 2008, of course, as everybody knows, in the real estate market, everything crashed. So that kind of stopped my real estate career at that point. I'd done some flips, really didn't know what I was doing at that time, mostly building custom houses. So then I had to go to a W-2 work for about 8-9 years after that, trying to recover. So one day I was working up in Alaska in a underground gold mine, and I was just so tired of somebody else being in control of what I was doing and my life, and I lost my job just out of the blue. So I had no idea what I was going to do. Had some money put back, so I decided to invest in myself, get educated a little bit more about some different aspects of real estate, and always knew I was going to get back into it. So that's how it all got started for the second time. At first, of course, it was a huge learning curve, and I didn't have the resources that I needed, so I had to figure out different aspects. So I got into creative financing deals, subject to lease options, owner terms, whatever could come around, whatever I could start building a portfolio with. So I generally use those types of deals for buy and hold properties. I'll hold those long term, got very little into them on the front end, they cash flow, start building the equity. That was going really well, and then I started networking with people like yourselves, and I encourage you to always network with people, because then I run into a guy down in South Florida that it is just absolute genius as far as legalities, different types of deals, such as like zombie foreclosures and flips, and he also had a lot of private money people behind him and so forth. So I kind of teamed up with him, learned a lot about finding deals through public records. And while this is going on, I see another thing where they're and me and my wife got into short-term rentals, Airbnbs. We started out with rental arbitrage type of deals, and then we progressed that. We kept the rental arbitrage, and then we progressed that into purchasing, like I've got a triplex, we picked up single family residence, just anything and everything that we could build that passive income on. And then of course, Hurricane Michael came along. That part didn't hurt us. That helped us a lot at this point. So we went over to Panama City, started taking a look over there. Now the guys that I know that I've partnered with, I mean, we operate from Miami all the way to Pensacola, so everything in between. If it's a deal, it's a deal. So we go after them. Picked up a lot of flips over in Panama City, of course. Picked up 2 apartment complexes last year, smaller complexes, both of them 14 and 16 units. And that's actually how I got introduced to Blake, because as you know, once you start picking up properties, you will get direct mail. So Blake sent me a direct mail, and I called him and just wanted to talk to him a little bit, let him know that I was an investor as well, and introduce myself. So that works out well. I mean, I encourage you to always call these people, network with them, look at what they're doing. You never know who's going to be able to help you or who you can help. So the other day, Blake had called me and was talking to me, and we was talking about what the COVID has done and what my take was, moving forward. I'm not a genius by any means. Probably not even the smartest person in this room right now. My wife's sitting over here next to me, so I'm pretty sure she's smarter than I am. So what, my take on it though, I'm very concerned about ARVs moving out of this. I think that we were at peak to start with, in my opinion. There was about to be a market adjustment. Well, COVID has made the market adjustment right now. It's not going to be a gradual adjustment, in my opinion. Myself, we were actively looking for deals up until February. And I've still got, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7. I don't know. I've got several flips still over in Panama City we haven't sold yet. But I've kind of switched focus currently and decided that during this time, the only thing that I'm picking up is a buy and hold, a long term. It's just too difficult, in my opinion, to figure out what the market's going to do after this, and are you overpaying for it? So it's got to be a screaming deal, in my opinion, if you're going to try to flip it right away. We wholesale every once in a while, not very often. Most of the time it's a flip or it's a long-term investment. Love the multifamily. Everything's challenging right now because we haven't seen this. The governor's got us shut down on our short-term rentals, so we've had to switch gears and put in 30-day tenants. We don't want to go longer than 30 because if the order gets lifted, then we can make a lot more money on a daily basis rather than a monthly basis. And going into the peak, it's a day-by-day thing. Of course, everything's kind of weird right now. We can't evict anybody, so you get long-term tenants in, and if they decide they don't want to pay, there's nothing you can do. But if you have enough of them, it doesn't hurt you as bad. You can still get through that. And I honestly believe that with all the mortgage forbearance and so forth that's going on now, people not being able, all the unemployment, there's going to be a lot of creative deals coming down the pike shortly. I mean, so if you don't know how to do subject to deals, don't know how to get owner financing, you're going to have to look for private funds as well. I mean, I was refining an apartment complex and a single family residence, and everything looked great. As soon as this got slated as a worldwide pandemic, then my lenders backed out. They're like, no, we can't do it. Can't do it now. They just dropped it right away. So there are going to be some obstacles coming. private money lenders is a great thing. You just have to build that relationship and get the right people on board and bring value. Owner financing and the subject to stuff, if you know how to pitch that stuff, a lot of people are going to be in dire straits because, what not everybody understands that a lot of times in these mortgage forbearance, if you skip 4 payments, then they're all going to be due in August. So there's going to be a lot of people in trouble at that point. If you've got a little bit of money and you can catch it up, give them a little bit, help them move, help them restart, then you could pick up something without having to get your own credit involved. And if I can use your credit, I will use yours, Blake, not mine. So, that's just my take on that. Yeah, I don't know, if you guys want to chime in, ask some questions, or just give me your input, that would be awesome. But that's just kind of what we're doing, and every day is a different day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing all that. There's a few things that you mentioned that I kind of want to unpack a little bit. You mentioned, like, currently that analyzing deals is getting tough because what do you compare it to? So
right.
that's one thing. Another was like spreading out risk with more doors, like you with your apartments and being diversified there. That's helped because if a couple are not paying, you still have 10 or more that are.
Right.
And the third point would be the creativity and how to pitch that. So kind of backtracking with the ARVs, when you're looking at deals now, for the people in the room, what's something that you would look at in our current times to say, okay, this is a good deal, even considering what we're dealing with right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a very tough one to answer. Just in my opinion, what I do a lot in the public record, so I find a lot of things that nobody else knows about, and most of the time I can get them at 30% of value.
Yeah.
But so that's what if I can get it at 30% of what I felt like the ARV was before, it's still probably going to be a good deal after all the smoke clears. But it might be one that you hold on to as well, and allow the market to start coming back and let that value go back up. Plus, it's you end up with the passive income, and I don't know what your philosophy is, but I would much rather get a check every month in the mail than to chase a deal every day.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my philosophy too, is the buy and hold and cash flow is king. That passive income is nice, getting that to come in. And that's something that on the ARV side is something I'm dealing with too, is like I mentioned earlier with working with Shorefront on the wholesale side. That's something me and JD, Annabelle's husband, have dealt with, is trying to determine an ARV, now in, May 5th, as opposed to what it was March 5th. Things have changed there. The risk is different. So we're being more conservative, and thankfully still getting deals and going to be closing on one soon. So that's good, but it's all conservative. So that's what we're doing. And Jody, it sounds like you're following the same philosophy, trying to buy 30 cents on the dollar just because you're marketing yourself and able to find the best deals and like you said, maybe wholesale or determine the strategy based on kind of the deal. So
right.
Okay. As far as having multiple units, like with your big portfolio, you've got short-term rentals, you got flips that you said you're still selling, then you got the apartments and the long-term rentals.
Right.
Can you speak to how that has kind of insulated you as opposed to if you're all short-term right now, or if you're all flipping, how it's kind of having all of that's kind of helped you now?
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, if I had all flips right now, I would be sweating really hard because, you know, I put 3 houses on the market last week, rehabbed, and not getting a lot of interest currently because nobody knows what's going on. We got 30 million people unemployed,
Yeah.
so that's kind of scary right now. Now, the short-term rentals, of course, the Airbnbs, you know, the emergency orders and so forth. I mean, took our feet right out from under us on that. We should be hitting, $60,000 a month on those right now, and it's and it's been, you know, brought down to very little.
Yeah.
So that hurts as well.
Slash prices just to get some occupancy.
Jody,
Right.
how did you market those short-term rentals for those 30-day tenants?
I mean, you have to read the governor's orders because part of it says that we can't market to out-of-state people, and it's got to be a 31-day lease. So I put them on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and just advertised them as fully furnished units, all utilities, electricity, everything provided, and a certain amount per week or month. But I always sign a month contract with them so that I'm covering my own back.
Yeah, that's good. Just put as many places as you can. And
Right. Now, one of the buildings we have in Panama City, we did a little bit different with it. It's a 14-unit building, and it's all apartments. But we went through the state and got it licensed as a transient apartment, so it's a hotel motel, is what it's basically considered. Now, with doing that, we're getting anywhere from $350 to $500 a week per unit. And the best part about it is, if somebody doesn't pay on Saturday for their next week, we call the sheriff. They'll put them out. You don't have to evict.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a big perk, especially right now.
Yeah. So, it's just you just gotta try to shield yourself the best you can. Nobody sees this coming. And I'm just glad that we had a lot of different irons in the fire.
Yeah, absolutely. The diversification and strategy being long-term rentals and short-term rentals really helps kind of smooth the ups and downs. When it's really good, you get really high income, and then have the downside protection, which you're seeing now, which is a good note to diversify.
Oh yeah.
Another thing you spoke about was the creativity going forward, because for one, like you mentioned, lending is getting tight. The lenders are tightening their requirements, creating lower LTVs, having more reserves. So it's getting harder for buyers to get lending now, is what we're seeing. So
Right.
Can you speak to the creativity a little bit? I know subject to is one you like a lot, and we talked about the other day.
Right.
Can you expand on that one, maybe for those that have done a subject to deal before?
Yeah, of course. And I don't recommend anybody doing a subject to unless they know all the ins and outs of it, because I mean, you can't get the due on sale clause enacted. It rarely ever happens. But generally speaking, I'll start a conversation with an owner that's looking to sell. They're upside down, they're behind, whatever the situation is, and I'll just be frank with them. Say, hey, okay, so how much money do you need in your pocket to walk away? I'll catch everything up. I'll take it over subject to the mortgage. In 2 years, I've paid your mortgage on time every time. You're probably not got the best credit right now anyway. And what that will do is actually build your credit back up. It will help your credit score. So you just got to figure out and meet the need of the owner. And it's not everybody's going to do it, but some of them will. And I always tell them that I'm going to put money into the property, which I always do. So worst case scenario, I pay for it for 2 years, and then I decide I don't want it. Well, I've done fixed the property, made it more valuable, paid down the pay down, the principal, and now I give it back to them. I've never done that, but that's worst case scenario.
Yeah, worst case scenario, they get it better than they left it before with more upside to them. Yeah,
Absolutely
awesome. Well, I want to open it up to the other people in here. If there's questions, I'm sure you covered a lot there, so I'm sure there's some questions. What do you guys got for Jody while we got it?
So as far as like these creative strategies, and I think one of you guys mentioned like direct mail. I know Blake, you said that's how you guys found each other. How do you access the data to get the addresses, and like what's that process look like?
Well, I don't know if Blake, if you're direct mailing, generally you're going to be buying list, and that's where you're going to get your information. I personally, I don't do that. I find the property for whatever reason through public records or so forth, then you just look them up on the property appraiser site, and all the information's there. You've got, if they're behind on taxes, you've got the owner's name, the owner's mailing address, the site address, everything's there.
Yeah. And what he's talking about is on like the county website. So here in like for Bay County, for example, you get on the property appraiser's website and you can search that criteria. And what he mentioned about like buying a list is with like a provider like listsource.com. That's where you can go in and put in that criteria, say out of state owners with 50% equity that have lived that have owned the house for 20 years plus. You can like create those criteria, and then it'll pump out a list, because that's like a comprehensive list that's tracked by the state and the county and aggregated at that source. So you'd pay like per lead, whether it's 6 cents or 5 cents or whatever. You'd get that list and then be able to send letters that are specific to that person's situation. Like if you can pull like an eviction list for landlords that are evicting and send like, hey, I know you're dealing with this. Like, how can I help?
Right.
And then
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then what I've done a lot of too, I'm sure Jody, you have too, is just driving for dollars. You see a rundown house, you write down the address, and then look up the address in the property appraiser's website, find the owner's information, and then send them a letter. So I've done a lot of that in my first like 3 deals. Came from just finding a property, writing down the address as I'm driving, and then handwriting a letter and blasting it out to them.
Well,
But it works.
Well, I'll share a deal with you. I got back in January, Blake, and it was driving for dollars. I mean, I just happened to run by this house on my way back to my house. Wrote down the address, went back, did a little research, saw what was going on. It ended up that the bank had foreclosed on it back, I don't know, 10 years ago. But then it was during the mortgage crisis and so forth. So what they had done is they actually turned around and put it back into the previous owner's name. She had no idea. It was behind on taxes. It had code enforcement. So I called that lady up, and she's like, "What? No, I hadn't had that house in years." I was like, "Well, yeah, it's still yours." I said, "But there are some issues. The taxes are behind. Code enforcement. It's like 30,000 in code enforcement, which we got reduced to 3. Yeah. But I ended up giving her $500 for a deed, and then turned around and sold it a week later for 35.
Oh man! And that's just from finding the house and writing down the address. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good example. So just for that code enforcement, did you just call the county and say, "Hey, I'm buying this. I'll pay pay what you need. Like, work with me a little bit, and I'll get you paid."
Well, right. Yeah, we showed them that. See, they had actually the code enforcement violation was in the name of Wells Fargo. Well, Wells Fargo wasn't on the deed, so we told them that it's not enforceable. There's no way that they can enforce that. But we gave them out, so we'll say, hey, whatever you actually spent, we'll reimburse you all that if we can get that reduced to that amount rather than a per day for 10 years. And they was like, yeah, okay. So we sent them $3,000. Code enforcement's gone, free and clear house for $3,500, something like that.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's a good lesson in creativity right there. You just gotta do the work up front and then made
Right.
$30,000 profit just off a little extra work that somebody else wouldn't do that probably drove past that property 100 times.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll give you another little hack on multifamily. Since you like in multifamily, you can go to your property appraiser site and go down to your property search and do an advanced search. And most of the time, they're going to come up with DOR codes, use codes, and so forth. So you could go through there and select, like multifamily 10 or more, or multifamily 10 or less, and last sale date, put it 20 years ago.
Mhm.
Okay, so, and then just do a search. And what it'll do is it'll populate an Excel sheet. And, from 20 years until today. So then sort your list from oldest to newest on sales date. So all your 20-year properties are at the top of the list. Those are the people you want to call. More than likely, they're about ready to retire. They haven't upped the rent, so you have a way to push the rents higher and do a value add on that property. And if you wanted to sell it, if you wanted to just flip it, you reverse your list again, and all the people who've been buying multifamily, recently, there's your buyers. So you got your buyers and your sellers in the same list.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So basically, assuming that the people that have had that property for a long time probably have equity in it, might be coming towards the end of a loan. Maybe they're older, they've had it for a long time, and
right,
probably have kept the rents the same since they bought it 20 years ago, and so it leaves you with a lot of upside. That's a good hack right there. I'm gonna have to write that one down.
right. So yeah.
So you said you're not mailing, but then so you just call them out of the blue and introduce yourself, or what?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll skip trace them. I'll look and make sure that there's, 3 to 4 pain points first. I'll do my research because I find them out of the public records anyway, more than likely. So I see what's already going on. A lot of people are leery of investors, so I'd never say I'm an investor. I'll call them up and I'll say, hey, Mr. Homeowner, sorry to call you out of the blue. My name's Jody. I own property down the road from your property located at blah, blah, blah. You ever consider selling that property? And then just shut up and let them talk, because they will tell you all kinds of stuff that will help you.
Yeah, just sometimes you just gotta shut up and listen and wait for them to give you all the information you need.
Yeah. Always apologize for calling them out of the blue. Tell them who I am, and I own property down the road from yours, which, I own property all over. So it's not a
That's
lie.
funny you say that today, because there's actually a house for sale right down the road from me. So I called them. They had a for rent sign out. So I called them and said, hey, I actually live down the road from you. I have property in the area, and wondering if you wanted to sell. They
Right.
said no, but I'm gonna follow up with them in a couple weeks anyway. So.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, that's a good way to break the ice. As soon as you tell them you're an investor, in my opinion, or
They shut it off.
yeah, they feel like the sharks are circling. So I never go that route. Always, I'm a neighbor. I live in the area. I have property close to yours, and
Yeah.
that's how I handle it.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Before we transition to the next part, I wanted to give everybody a chance to tell who they are, what they're doing. Is there any last questions any questions for Jody before we transition to that? No takers? All right, perfect. All right, so
I got one, Blake.
yeah, get it, Bailey.
When you're looking at the public, the records and stuff, does the name of the property ever come up as an LLC, or does it always come up as their first and last name.
Oh no, absolutely. There's always LLCs. I never buy a property myself unless it's in a LLC or a land trust, just to
Right.
keep anonymity. But if you find them in the LLC, all you got to do is go to the Secretary of State, look up the LLC, and then you add the person.
Gotcha.
Which is for us, Bailey, in Florida, it's sunbiz.gov or sunbiz.org.
Right.
All right. Cool.
Then you can just search by the entity name, and then it'll tell you the owners. And then that's who you'd mail as the owners, not the LLC.
Gotcha.
Perfect. Well, cool. Thanks for that question. That was a good one. So now moving on, just wanted to give everybody a chance to introduce yourself a little bit, talk about where you are in your investing career, what you're looking for, and kind of just what brings you here today. So since me and Jody already kind of went and gave our background, Bailey, you're the one like to my right on my screen, so you go ahead and start us off.
Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Bailey. I'm 19 years old. I go to the University of Central Florida in Orlando. I'm actually in Wisconsin right now because of Corona. I'm back home, but I'm just getting started in my investment career. And yeah, I love attending these kind of meetups and hearing from more experienced people and networking with others. So yeah, thank you Blake for putting this together. And Jody, that was your name?
Do it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your story a little bit. That definitely added value, and I'm definitely gonna look into the direct mail and the records and the creative type strategies, especially in these conditions.
Awesome. Thanks, Bailey. Annabelle, give it a go.
All right. Sorry if you hear my kids. Yeah. Thanks, Blake, for hosting. Jody, thanks for sharing. I am Annabelle Monroe. I'm also an active duty Air Force officer. We're stationed in Virginia right now, but we are buy and hold investors in Louisiana, Texas, and Florida. We have short-term vacation rentals in Panama City. And then we are wholesaling primarily in Panama City right now. So focusing, we had a Panhandle expansion plan for this quarter, but I think we're gonna have to wait a little bit. But we're really excited. I think the same thing, I went TDY to Tyndall and just seeing the destruction there. My partner, she also went there to do some gutter restoration. And as soon as we saw the town, and this was like 9 months after the fact, we knew there was still a lot of work to be had. So that's when we started focusing our attention solely on Panama City.
That's right when I met you guys, so it's perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly. So let me know if you guys have any questions on the wholesale side. And Bailey, awesome being here so young. That's a good thing.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Annabelle. Now we got my brother-in-law who spent a couple weeks with us quarantining. We got Travis. What's up, Travis?
Hey, how's it going? My name's Travis Herring. I'm up here in Indianapolis, so I'm actually a little closer to Bailey than everybody else. But yeah, no, I'm just starting along this journey. Blake showed a little bit of the ropes, had me do a couple of calculations while I was down there as he was driving for dollars, and we're just kind of looking around. And me and a buddy that I have up here are really interested in looking at the Indianapolis area, but I'll be back in town for Panama City. We'll see what's down there. But thank you all so much for putting this together.
Yeah, of course. It's funny. Travis came to spend a week with us, and all this stuff happened, and he ended up staying for a while longer. So I was like, while you're here, we're gonna talk some real estate, and took him on his first property inspection off of one of my direct to seller leads. So we went and saw that, and we're analyzing deals and spending the time wisely. So thanks for that, Travis. So we got Bridget next.
Okay, hi. So I'm up in the Panhandle area, up towards Defuniak Springs, and we're fairly new investors, myself and my husband. He's actually a building contractor. And we have done, I believe, 4 so far. 3 of those were, fix and flip. The last one we just finished up last week, we actually rented. So we're new into the rental game, hoping that goes well, because you hear obviously all those horror stories. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we're just looking hopefully maybe to expand, maybe to try to, move properties a little quicker than what we've been able to in the past, just because we've been doing it out of our own finance, basically using a HELOC that we have on our home. So we basically can only do one at a time before we're ready to roll on another one. So just excited really to learn from some of you all about how you get creative with that.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming and thanks for sharing. Well, hopefully we can hit a little bit of that creative stuff after everybody's gone around here. Jesse, the crib builder.
Hey guys, first I'd like to just thank Blake for inviting me here. Nice to meet everyone. So, like Blake, I'm also active duty military. Been in a little over 17 years, actually coming up on my 18-year mark. I'm a master sergeant, working at the Red Horse unit, Silver Flag exercise site, just right past Tyndall. So I started my investing career back in just shy of a year ago, and I was stationed at Nellis Air Force Base. I'm a personal development junkie, and I read a lot, and I started digging into Robert Kiyosaki, and all these financial, just trying to increase my financial intelligence. And then I don't know if you guys have heard of Dan Merrill and the Fortune Builders team, but they rolled through Vegas because it's a hot spot, obviously, right? And I went to one of their seminars, and I was like, holy cow, this is everything that I've been reading about. I started investing into other things, years back, and creating some passive income. But I quickly realized that real estate is the quickest vehicle to wealth, right? We all know that. And so it was just a perfect opportunity. I jumped into that. I invested into that education system, which just, it was awesome. Everything that they have from, this is not a sales pitch, by the way, but it's essentially buying a turnkey business, but real estate investment business. So we structured there in Nevada, and then I got hit with orders to Tyndall. And so, I started in May of last year is when my business was structured, and then I PCS'd, had to go through the whole house buying situation here, right after Hurricane Michael, and then found a house, and then really just started picking up into the business side of things again last October, and then found a property, distressed property, put it in an offer, they accepted, and we are in the final stages of it now. We'll be putting it on the market next week. Actually, photography and video walkthrough will be done tomorrow. So hopefully I can get this thing sold. COVID kind of hit, and we're kind of concerned, but I think we'll be good. I know you guys have expressed a lot of concerns, but man, I've been in a lot of Zoom meetings and webinars and this, that, and the other, and it's a mixed feeling out there. So obviously it's going to be based on our market here and how things are going, but we'll see. But that's me. Sorry for I'll get off my soapbox now. Nice to meet everyone.
That's all right. Thanks for sharing. We definitely appreciate it. And I didn't even ask before, but I didn't know you were active duty. So thanks for your service, of course. And then
Congrats on that first one. The first one's the hardest.
Yeah, it for sure is. Learn tons each deal. It's like something new you learn for sure. But next we got Logan Bosch or Bosch. Hope I'm not butchering Bosch. Logan, you there?
Hey,
there we go.
Hey, Logan's not here. This is Igor. I'm not at my laptop, so I'm at Logan's house. Logan's on the phone over there.
Okay. Igor, are you investing in real estate?
Yeah, buddy. So I moved here to invest in real estate. I'm more of a long-term rental kind of guy. I've kind of gotten into the fix and flip to finance my rentals. Right now I've got one under contract, supposed to close this Friday, but it pushed a week. It's been a mess during COVID. I got another one in rehab. I was about to start doubling up on my business, but now I'm scaling back like everybody else is. So just trying to be smart, trying to go into a cash rich, more into cash and see where things play out. Because I think we're entering a new market. Don't know what house prices are going to do. Don't know what rent prices are going to do. So just trying to be proactive and be in a position to where you got the tools to make a decision when the time comes. So
absolutely, that'd be a good position to be in for sure. Thank you everybody for sharing and introducing yourselves to the group. What I wanted to do now is give everybody a chance if they have like a group specific question, whether it's about the market or you heard Annabelle's wholesaling or Jesse's selling a house, Jody's is selling a house, things like that. If anybody's got any specific things to ask or to share, got a deal, anything like that.
I have one thing to share. So this weekend, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rod Cleef. He's a multifamily guy, yeah. And he had one of his panelists on, and he was in the military, and his whole he's a real estate investor now, and his whole mission is basically I'm messing up the phrasing, but active duty should own as much of America as possible. That's kind of his thing. So
Eric Upchurch.
Eric Upchurch, yeah, exactly. I wasn't sure if you guys heard about him, but if you haven't, I put his link in the chat. If you haven't heard about him, I don't know much about him besides that was his mission. He seemed like a cool guy, and he seemed pretty experienced. So, and thank you guys for your service also.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for the support. I was actually at that this weekend. The
Oh, no way.
Yeah, the multifamily boot camp. I was sitting
nice.
in the home office.
Me too. Yeah.
So it was a really good event. Glad to do it. Definitely glad they still did it online because it's supposed to be in Orlando in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Pushed it. COVID pushed it to Zoom, so it was cool to see that event take place over Zoom. I bet Zoom stock is just going through the roof right now with COVID going on.
It definitely was in the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's definitely a good resource to check out if you guys haven't seen that yet. Anybody else? Annabelle, any deals? Any deals working in the pipeline right now to be sold?
No, nothing new to be sold. Hopefully this week we get some more to be sold. Everything's sold. So we were scared. We had 2 contracts fall out the first week that it kind of, all started. But then it was immediately after that, they sacrificed their earnest money and everything. But then the week after that, we remarketed and
came back and sold them.
2 of those lined up, and then another one last week. So I think at first people were really, really frightened. But what we've seen is obviously there's still so much work to be done, and they're definitely being smart. They're definitely being conservative. But I think that there's still, we're still moving a lot of real estate, especially in the Panhandle.
Mm-hmm.
But the tourism impact, and the things Jody mentioned, for the rentals and stuff, here they're going to be on their 3rd month without a paycheck. So there's without a doubt going to be, a huge impact there if this keeps up another month or 2.
Yep. There's the kiddos. JD Jr. yelling. And Jesse, you're looking for deals, right? So I know when we talked the other day, you said you're looking to get 6 more fix and flips this year. So looking for good deals, it sounds like.
Yeah. So I'm heavily marketing right now. So after this weekend, so I spent on, what was it, 2 days live online, 10 hours days, and it was an internet quick start academy that they had going on. It was the first one they did. Normally they do it live, and we go to Orlando or Vegas, or the last one was in New Orleans. But I spent 2 days online with these experts on how to market online through Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and that's how I actually got hooked up with Blake here, and that's why I'm on this call right now, just because of that education that I had just over the weekend. So yes, my goal is 6 more properties this year. Like I said, we're putting this one on the market, but man, it's just like I'm lacking in the lead generation department. So if you guys have any deals, that just send them my way, please, because I have the capital and I want to buy. Okay.
For sure, yeah. And Annabelle, what's the Facebook page, Shorefront, for all the new deals that come in?
I will drop.
He's going to. Okay, so
she said she didn't drop it.
Okay, she's gonna drop it in the chat, but it's Shorefront Restorations on Facebook. If you search that, all the deals get posted on there. They've actually been going pretty quick recently, but when we get them, they'll be on there and you'll be able to see them. Other than that, direct mail marketing's hard because it's a competitive market. You just gotta, I guess, find something that differentiates you. Maybe do what Jody's had really good success with, is just cold calling. Being full-time active duty, though, I know that can be a bear because we're obviously working on base. So finding the time to just sit and hit the phone is tough to do, but that's a good lead source. So yeah, who else is looking for something specific that the group might be able to help with?
So I noticed obviously that there's lots of distressed property in Panama City, obviously from the hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
But so because there seems to be so much, like, is there things that you all are seeing that you're really shying away from in terms of, certain issues with the houses that they're not being picked up?
Jody might be able to speak to that one really well, because I know he does a ton of marketing. What do you think, Jody?
Yeah, as far as the houses in Panama City, you got to be really careful now. I mean, there's still lots of good deals there, but you got to make sure you get your daring reports and so forth done right now. Their codes enforcement's starting to crack down, and there's lots of houses that are on demo list currently. So just make sure you know what you're getting. We picked up one last year that was a 3,500 square foot house over in Lynn Haven. Got the permit, got started, put $100,000 into it, and then the city of Lynn Haven come out there and canceled the permit and said we had to raise the house by 8 feet. So you just the new flood zones and so forth. Just be aware of what you're looking at and make sure that you know what you get into before you get into it.
Yeah, I think too, a good point for those ones. We flipped 2 severely hurricane damaged ones too, and just like, sorry, you're getting into a lot with those ones. Maybe start at one that is dated, but maybe wasn't flooded for 3 months. That kind of thing. Just know where to start, I think.
Yeah, I'd say from experience that the extensive water damage ones are hard to deal with. Like when you take back those walls, you never know what you're going to find, and usually if it was a house that's flooded or had roof damage or whatever, it's usually water seeping in, which causes a lot of issues. It can be expensive to repair. And then I know there was one I looked at a few weeks ago that online it looked fine, and then I went to see it in person. I saw it was a concrete block house, and it had the foundation crack from the ceiling all the way, or from the roof line all the way down to the ground, and that back portion of the house was sinking further. So I wasn't going to mess with anything foundational. So those are a few things that I've shied away from, is excessive mold damage and foundation issues. What else? Logan or Igor, you guys got anything anything you're looking for specifically?
Hey Blake, sorry I was on a call, buddy. Good meetup you got here.
Thank you.
What were the questions you were asking earlier when I was out?
So to start, I guess since you're on the phone, we did introduction. Go ahead and introduce yourself, what you're doing, and then the second part of that was kind of what you're specifically looking for right now and how the group might be able to help.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I do, I mean, my main job is solar energy for homes and businesses here in Panama City Beach. And then as far as real estate, what I'm looking for is anything multifamily. We're looking at a couple mobile home parks right now, actually, too. Just here from Pensacola, basically to PC, Port St. Joe, I guess, all the way over there if something good pops up. But yeah, doing that and trying to figure out what's going to happen after this COVID thing, I think is kind of what everyone's doing, right? So
yeah, everybody's kind of in a holding pattern for sure. So you're still just looking for good deals, multifamily, mobile home parks, and that kind of thing throughout the Panhandle.
yeah, exactly. So
Awesome. Did you end up closing on the fourplex?
dude, so yeah, it actually ended up falling out, which
it did
in
fall
hindsight
out.
was probably a good thing.
Oh no, I got a fist bump and everything. I gotta pull it back.
No, I think it worked out well just from what happened. So to make a long story short, the contractor ended up like skimping on a bunch of stuff at the end. And I was like, all right, no big deal. Like it'll probably be like, I went in and figured out what it was going to cost. It was going to be like 15 grand to like do the stuff that he didn't want to do. I was like, no worries. We'll just like figure that out. We'll do a concession on it. And then I'll just hire another guy come in and get it done. He like got mad about it. It was like, no way, I'm not doing that. I was like, okay, well, then I'm not going to close it for that price. So
yeah, can you talk about that? Where are people finding good people in Panama City? Because us to find good contractors has been tricky.
I think you have to like sacrifice a child and like cast a spell or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm quite sure there are none over in Panama City. We've been 15 or 20.
It's all around. I don't know. Annabelle, me and you may have to talk offline. I met one guy that's pretty decent. But I think if he's in town still, he said he was going back to Texas, but he did quality work. I found him. But that's like one out of 10,000. I don't even know. But great question. When we get the answer, we'll share it.
I think we can all do that, right? That person will be so busy they won't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be racking in the money. But cool. Well, if anybody, if there's nothing else burning on somebody's mind, we can kind of transition to the end here.
Okay. Hey, I got one other. I'll just throw this out for everybody. I've got one deal that if anybody can help me move, that would be awesome. It's over in Orlando. I think I talked to you about this one, Blake.
The big one.
Yeah, it's 19,000 square feet, 12 bedrooms, 13 bathrooms. Oh,
Basically a mansion, but Jody got it for an absolute steal.
Yeah. So the
top end kind of home.
Yeah, the assessed value on it's like 1.9. Oh, I mean we'd turn this thing around at 1.2, but it's probably a $2.5 million house. So if anybody can figure out a buyer up that one, I'd let it go in a heartbeat.
Are you trying to wholesale
what's going
that
on with that deal?
What was that?
Are you trying to wholesale it?
Yeah, I'll wholesale it.
Cool. Well, yeah, Jody, if I talk to anybody that wants a high end in Orlando like that, I know that's a good market. So if I run into anybody, I'll shoot it away.
So it's just a mansion or it's a multifamily?
It's basically a mansion. It's huge. It's a 19,000 square foot single family home.
Yes.
Oh, so I got you. Got it.
Yeah, a good corporate retreat.
Yeah, that thing would rent for like 10 grand a night on Airbnb or something.
Yeah.
But, All right, cool. We'll transition on here a little bit. The last thing I wanted to kind of talk about with you guys is goal setting. So I started a Facebook group for us. In that I'll post this video on there. So if there's anything you want to review or look back at, maybe an answer to your question that you didn't write the notes down or whatever, I'm going to put it in that Facebook group. And then for the goal setting, what I'm going to do and would encourage you all to do is write out your like top goal or goals for the month, and then we'll put them in there, hold each other accountable, and be able to kind of have that accountability with the group here. I always find that when I write down my goals, I get much closer to achieving them because I set big goals, but just like on a weekly basis, like what I write down, that's what I strive for each week. So if you see like my like notebook and planner here is just chock full of weekly goals to hit through. So I think that's a big part of why I've been able to have a small amount of success is just setting my goals, writing them down, and reaching for them every day. So that Facebook group is called Rise and Grind Real Estate Investor Network. I'm going to put it in here. The reason I came up with that name is just because I think it's important to just get up and get after it. And that's just what I'm about. And I think it's a good way to just approach your real estate investing is just go after and get it. Like accountability with the goals, make it happen. So that's just going to be a Facebook group that is just like this meeting, provides value. I'm going to start putting articles and stuff like that in there. That's just, specific to what's going on around here, real estate specific. It'll probably cover everything from, for you, Bailey, buying your first place to for you, Jody, buying the next apartment building, So it's going to cover all of that and just be a free resource that just throws value at you and take what you need and just help provide value with your comments to others. So I'm typing that name to the Facebook group in here now. So that is in there. But yeah, so share your goals on there. We'll keep you accountable. And then just closing remarks for you guys that know me, have my number, whatever, or just shoot a message in here in the group and just give me feedback if you guys thought this was valuable. I'd like to keep doing this just to bring people together. I think bouncing ideas off each other. I think everybody has a kind of a different experience with what's going on with the market based on how your business is set up and based on where you're at in your progression. So I think there's value to be had from everybody at every level. So just wanted to create a way to, provide those resources to people, connect people, find partners, share deals, and just kind of rise everybody up together. Like Warren Buffett said, a rising tide lifts all boats. So that's what I'm trying to make happen. But yeah, so that is kind of the end as we wrap it up here. Unless there's any last questions, I'll let you guys get back to your margaritas for Cinco de Mayo. I didn't pour one because I'm on a 30-day cleanse, unfortunately. I had to stick with it. That was one of my goals for the month, so trying to meet that. But yeah, if there's nothing else.
Thanks, Blake.
Yeah, of course. Bye, Annabelle. Oh, the crib's done. You got that done in an hour. That's awesome. This guy is working at a suicide pace. That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, Jody, thanks again.
Yeah, I just put on a second coat.
That's good. Jody, thank you again. I think you provided a ton of value here because you have so much experience. So thank you for sharing it with everybody. And thank you to those that joined in. Really appreciate it. And y'all have a good evening and look forward to having you on the next group call or meetup, whatever it ends up being with, just the state of things opening up.
All right. Thanks, Blake.
Have a good one.
All right. Talk
Thanks,
to you guys
Blake.
later.